I want us to look at value addition to most of the farm produce that we have in Africa. For a long time, we have been into selling of our raw materials and importing back the value added products. Now, let's look at cassava for example. In Africa, let me say Nigeria, the little way we add value to some of the cassava we have is to process to garri, or say we process to dry cassava and supply to the Chinese companies. I've advised people on how to make money. I've taught people how to make money supplying cassava to Chinese companies who are buying, adding value to it to turn it to many other crops, or let me say many other byproducts that we are yet to know. But today I want us to look at how we young entrepreneurs who are Africans can step into this business and also make money. Now, if you have never considered this business, you might be thinking doing cassava starch is capital intensive. I don't have the money. You don't even know how much it takes. You just assume it's capital intensive. So you have never sat down to check, run your check, see the numbers on a plain paper, black and white, so you can know if the business is above you. Many of us will have the money. The only thing is we don't have the information, and this is what I'm doing today. I might not be the one who will process the cassava to starch, but there is someone somewhere who is looking for this information, and you are in the right place. Now, before you watch this video to the end, I want you to get a sheet of paper so you can do the calculation, or at least download the video so you can sit down and watch. The video might be long, right? I'm not rushing it. I want to explain everything in details. At least for someone who wants to go into cassava starch business, the video will be very short because you want to know more. So what I've done is that I've compiled a very standard bankable feasibility study that I want you to get. So that feasibility study includes how much cost of equipment, everything, the profit analysis, the risks that is involved in the business, how you can mitigate all the risks, SWOT analysis. A very standard feasibility study is available for you. So if you want to go into cassava starch business, or you're considering, or you can even raise funds, maybe you don't have the money but you know how you can raise funds, you need to get that feasibility study so you can study it, then maybe have a perfect pitch deck that will help you to present your idea to maybe your founders or your co-partners so you can go into this business. So what I will do is I will attach the link in the comment section so you can check, get the feasibility study, and then you will know how much this business is going to cost. But before you get the feasibility study, let me give you an idea of how this business is going to be. Now, why cassava starch? Why cassava starch is simply because we are the largest producers of cassava in the world. Nigeria is the largest. Africa produces 70% of the world cassava starch. Or let me say, sorry, cassava, not the starch. When it comes to starch, I will tell you who is leading. But Africa is the largest producers of cassava in the world. Now, remember, maybe you don't know, I want you to know that cassava originated from Brazil, not even in Africa. But Africa has been able to dominate that industry. Nigeria is leading the world with the largest volume of cassava production, over 69 to 70 million metric tons of cassava produced in Nigeria every year. Just Nigeria. Now, let's look at the numbers. Cassava starch. I want us to move past garri. I've made video on garri. So maybe if you're considering garri, of course, you can get the video, see how cassava garri, how much you can make, right? But I want us not just to sit back and be complaining. We complain that the Chinese people are making all the money that we should get in cassava. We complain that they are making all the money, they are harvesting, buying cheap from our farmers, selling back to our farmers in 10 times, 100 times profit. We cannot remain there complaining. So some of us who have this knowledge, my job is to share this knowledge with you because I want you to take a step of investing in this business. This is a long-term project. So if you're looking for a short-term project that will give you money right now, this might not be the suitable business for you. But it's a business that I can guarantee you there is profit. Number one, you'll be getting the raw materials extremely cheap within Africa. So it means you are going to make big money from this business. Now, Let's look at the global starch market worth. Global starch market worth as of 2023 to 2020 to, let me say 2023, is projected that this market is over 5.54 billion US dollars. That is how much this market is worth. Now, based on the figures I have here, it is projected that by 2030, cassava starch, not cassava now, cassava starch will be worth 8.14 billion US dollars. 8.14 billion US dollars. This will be the worth of cassava starch as of 2030. So we are just discussing about 5 years. So let's assume you also start your business this year. So in the next 5 years, it means you're playing in an industry that is worth, let's say, $10 billion. That is how much cassava is. Now, why is so much demand for cassava starch? Pharmaceutical companies need this, textile companies need this, and then even personal consumption. Now, if you come to Nigeria, there are some parts of Nigeria that eat cassava starch. They do it as swallow. They eat cassava starch. So it's the textile paper industry, they use this. The Nigerian breweries that they produce beer, the beer that we love drinking, many of us, cassava starch goes into that beer in large volume. How about the tomato paste that we eat? Cassava starch goes in. How about the food? Say needles, cassava starch goes in. How about the bread, bakery industries? They need cassava starch. So the demand for cassava starch is increasing as there is demand for other products. So cassava is like a complementary product to many other byproducts that we have. How about clothes? The clothes I'm wearing now, it will not be able to stitch like this if cassava starch is not applied to it. The clothes you're wearing, the same thing. So there is a huge demand for cassava because the uses are also increasing. People are going for product that will help them, and they have seen that cassava starch is one among the best flour that we use in bakery industry. It's cheaper alternative and is most also very healthy. So it's a big business for you and I. We don't have to say, okay, we don't have money to do it. Please and please watch the video and get the knowledge. The money will come. When you get the knowledge, the money will come. So now let's look at the African demand for cassava starch versus supply. So because your business is going to be situated in Africa, so even though I will show you how you can also be exporting, but you know that your company is in Africa, so your first market is African market. So how is the demand like? How is the demand of cassava starch like in Nigeria? So it's very funny. You don't want to hear this. You don't want to hear this. Like I said, Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world with over 60 million metric tons per year. Then there is demand for cassava starch in Nigeria is 800,000 metric tons. That is the demand for cassava starch in Nigeria. Now guess what? Nigeria produce only 100,000 metric tons of cassava starch. So demand of 800,000, then supply within the local industry, the small players that we have are supplying just 100,000. Now the 700,000 deficit is imported. It means that bulk of our money is going out for cassava starch. Meanwhile, we are the largest producers of cassava in the world, but then we are also among the largest importers of cassava starch. What an irony. It's very, very, very hard for us to understand. Now the truth is, value addition is the key, which is why I'm making this video to encourage you to consider this business. Now over 100 million US dollars goes out and it's increasing. It's increasing. Now if you check in Nigerian market, you see that a ton of cassava, let me say a kg of cassava starch is around 3,000, 2,005 per kg. This is how big the market is. So there is investment opportunity in Nigeria and also other African countries. I was watching one of our Ghanaian brothers, his videos here on YouTube, and he was telling people how they went to supply cassava to Chinese companies that are there in Ghana, and then they discover that the price have dropped. The Chinese people are not buying well again, but they are going to sell. I was like, this is it. Now, what I love the Chinese people, and I'm going to explain to you why I love them, because they are ready to show you how this business work. They are willing to sell the machines. You can go on Alibaba and see those machines. They are stuff that you can buy. They are willing to bring the machines to Nigeria or to Ghana or to Congo to install the machine for you, show you how to produce the cassava starch, show you how to package, even produce the packaging materials for you. I have some of their contacts. That is how far. So they are not afraid of, maybe if you go into it, you will not sell cassava starch to us. No, they are willing to sell the equipment. They produce the equipment, so they will make money. So it is only you and I who don't have the knowledge that we can actually buy this equipment and make money from it too. Right? So the guys, they are not like those our other people. I won't mention names, right? They are selfish. The Chinese people are willing to show you the technology. They are willing to show you the technology. And this is what I want us to do. So there is huge investment opportunity for cassava starch in Africa, and the market is extremely virgin. People are not there, if you ask me, because if a demand of 800,000 tons is there and you're supplying only 100,000, it means that nobody is there. Now let's look at the availability of cassava starch, or let me say cassava in Africa, because we need to look, okay, which are the countries in Africa that can invest my money if I want to go into cassava starch production. Now I want to list top 5 cassava starch, or let me say cassava production countries in Africa. They are the largest producers. Many other African countries are producing, but these 5 countries are the largest. Now, number 1, you have Nigeria, of course, with over 60 to 70 million tons of cassava produced every year. This is only the one that is harvested. We have many of them that get bad in the ground because there is no buyers, or the buyers are not willing to pay money that the farmer felt is reasonable, so they waste down there. There is a very huge market for it, extremely. So based on what they harvest and what the government or people that take the data is able to capture, they tell us 60 million. But you and I know we are boxing over 100 million tons. I'm into the business, I can tell you that for sure. Now, second on the list is DR Congo. DR Congo produce 35 million tons of cassava every year. 35 million. That is like half of what Nigeria is producing. Mad. Then we have Ghana. Ghana is also the third. Ghana is producing 22 million tons of cassava every year. That is the one that is harvested and can be accounted for. So they are producing way more than that. Now we have Angola at the 4th position. Angola is producing 14 million tons of cassava every year. The one the government can capture. So it means they are producing more. Now the 5th country is Mozambique. Now Mozambique is producing 12 million tons. Now if you combine these top 5 countries, they are producing more than Asia. Just only the 4 is producing more than Asia. But I will also show you that Asia is among the largest exporter of cassava starch and other cassava value added products. Right? So what are they doing? They have the equipment, they have these machines, they have the technology. So smart entrepreneurs like you and I have taken over the business. This is not farmers. Farmers are not the one doing it. So people tell me, why can't farmers come together and be doing this thing? Please and please, farmers can't do it. They don't have the financial capacity to do it. You and I are the people who can come from the other end. Maybe you're from oil and gas sector, you have the money, you bring in the money. Or you're from real estate, you bring in the money, you invest in processing. You are not to bring in the money, go and buy land and start producing cassava. No. Come and offtake cassava, just the way the Chinese guys are doing. Let's copy from them. They landed Nigeria a few years ago. They are not coming to come and buy 1,000 hectares to plant cassava. No, they just locate a state or a community that have a lot of cassava and they build their factory there. So this is what we are to do. Now, importation of cassava value added product into Africa. Let's look at this. Now, cassava product are much. Just that this video and also the feasibility study I did was only for starch. Now let's look at cassava flour. Let's look at cassava syrups, glucose, the glucose that we love. Cassava starch is part of it. Now we have bio-based plastic and ethanol, all from cassava products. They are all cassava products. Now Africa imports these things from which of the countries? Like I say, Asia. Now Thailand, Vietnam, China and India are the largest exporters. They export to Africa, export to Europe, the US and everywhere. They are making all the money. Meanwhile, Africa is the largest producer of cassava. They are the largest exporter of cassava starch. What are they doing? They come into Nigeria, buy this product, move it to their country, process and ship the byproduct back into Africa, Europe, America and other continents that don't have, which is what Africa should be doing. As a leading producer of cassava, we supposed to be the leading exporter of cassava starch, exporter of cassava flour, exporter of cassava ethanol. Like we supposed to top everything, but we are importing everything. Now what is the way out? It's not just for us to continue to complain. What is the way out? Now the way out, I've listed like 4 things we need to do for us to start exporting cassava instead of relying more on importation of cassava value added products. We should be exporting starch. We should be exporting ethanol. We should be exporting cassava flour. We should be exporting cassava byproduct. Like all the byproduct, we should be. The equipment are there. They are cheap. Honestly, if you get a feasibility study and check, you will see how cheap the money is. You'll be surprised. Now, the first thing we need to do is to education, which is what I'm doing. We have to bring to light that this cassava that we're underrating here is a hot product abroad. So we need to educate farmers, and not just farmers but entrepreneurs, investors. We need to educate people that look, there's a commodity that we have here wasting that can turn Africa into $1 billion continent in terms of cassava. Instead of us importing starch, we should be exporting other products. Now when we are done with education, the next thing we have to do is empowerment, which is what many African countries lack. The government can emotionally put out training where people will go and learn how to process to cassava starch, process soap, process, and then those people are not being empowered. You don't give them education, then you don't give them money. You have to provide equipment. Sometimes it's not just cash but equipment. You can build a very massive processing factory and then call on other people to come in, process, package in their brand and export. So they pay a fee to either the government. So this is what we need to do second. Now the third thing we need to do is partnership. Now see, I've done partnership that have gone wrong, and as a result I'm scared of partnership. But I know the only way I can build a big business is by partnership. I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone too. With all the money you have, you don't have the time. With all the money you have, you don't have the knowledge. With all the money that you have, it's not even advisable for you to be boxing 20 businesses. So why not invest maybe part of your money or part of your expertise or part of your time into coming together with another person to set up a cassava starch processing factory in your community. There are many states in Nigeria here that don't have any company buying cassava in their state. People reach out to me, I'm from this state, where can I sell my cassava? We have it here wasting, where can I sell my cassava? I don't even know what to tell them because factories are not there. But they have entrepreneurs like you and I who can provide them with the resources, build those facilities, bring in those machines, and they will be able to pay us money as they do. Now the next thing is expansion. Now because we have formed a partnership, we have produced, it's now for us to sell our product outside of Africa, outside of Nigeria. Ghana needs starch, Cameroon needs starch, Congo needs starch, Mozambique needs starch, Kenya needs starch, Europe, they don't cultivate cassava in Europe. They depend heavily on cassava imported from other countries. They depend heavily on starch imported from other countries, and Africa can be at the forefront. And we can't do this alone. I will not be able to export to some of the European countries, but you are based there. You have stayed there for 40 years. You have the knowledge. You know what to do. Bring that knowledge on table and help export some of the product that we have. Now, how much will it cost on average, right? Because I don't know where you'll be watching this video. So the estimate I'm going to give you is an average estimate. How much will it cost for you to set up a standard automated cassava starch processing factory? I told you that it's very cheap. With just 20 million to 120 million, you can set up the factory. Buy the equipment. Sorry, you can get the equipment for 24 million to 120 million. Or let me say 150 million. Benchmark. And what is the capacity that you can set up with this amount? At least 5 tons per day. 5 tons per day cassava starch processing factory can be set with as low as 150 million naira. Right. So you can see that the money is not too big. You can raise that money. You and your friends can come together and say, okay, our state is the largest producer of cassava in this place. It's wasting. Our farmers are crying. Let's set up this factory here and be exporting cassava starch. That is what I expect you and I to be doing. Now, what are the things you have to consider before you set up this factory? What are the things? I've listed 6 things based on my research that you should consider before you set up a cassava starch processing factory. Number 1, access to raw materials. So even though we are the largest producers of cassava in the world, it's not every state in Nigeria that have a lot of cassava. So you don't want to set up a factory in a place or a location that does not have high volume cassava. So consider raw materials. Now the next thing is government laws. You have to know what the government has said concerning the community that you want to set up your factory. For example, where to build the factory. There are some environment where you don't go and set up a factory, so you need to ask questions. Now, management team. You have to consider management team, because this is where the real issue is. So if you can raise say 200 million and you want to go into the business, who are the markets or who are the management team that are going to push this business? You have to consider that. Get experts. Like I say, the Chinese people are willing to even train your people, show people how this business work. The market is there. I have a request. Someone reached out to me recently or few months ago that he needed cassava starch. That if I have, I should send them sample, and if they are okay with it, they'll be buying nothing less than 10 tons per week or 10 tons per month or so. I've forgotten. I just told him I don't have any idea. There's no company that I know that is into production of cassava starch, and that prompted me to make this video for you, because I knew if one person is interested, many other people are. Most of the people who are into bakery, they need it, right? The next thing you have to consider is source of funding. Where can you raise this money? What type of funding you need? You need patient funds. You need patience funds. You don't need money that will come and disturb you. You need money that will give you time. That is why I will not tell you to go and bring investors that are waiting. By next year we should start making money. Even that is possible. We should be looking at long-term funds. Long-term funds. Now the next thing you have to consider is availability of water. Now I've observed the Chinese people that supply cassava to them. Most of them set up these factories close to a river. It was during my research that I knew that okay, it is because they use a lot of water. Now imagine cleaning cassava that comes from the farm with mud. Just tell me how much volume of water you will need. So you don't want to set up this factory in a place where borehole will dry. So let's assume there is no water, no river there. Then you are depending on borehole, and the borehole is going to dry. You will be out of business, or it will cost you so much. So you need to set up this factory in a place where there is water. The Chinese guys have done it. I've seen like 4 of their factories. They are located close to a river, so that they can get access to enough water. So don't neglect that too. Now the 6th thing you need to do or consider is you need to be patient. You need to be patient. This business is going to generate nothing less than 18 billion naira for you based on the survey that I've done, based on the feasibility study that I have. And you can get that feasibility study, settle down and study it. It's very detailed, professionally written by me, and I want you to get it, settle down, study it, and see how you can also step into this value chain and be able to make money from cassava starch, help our farmers to produce more, create jobs in Africa instead of exporting job and importing back unemployment. Just imagine you have like a factory, a small factory of 5 ton per day, and you have 40 staff or 30 staff that are working there, direct staff, and you have other farmers who are your major suppliers of this cassava starch. You have created job in Africa. You have reduced unemployment. Nobody is going to do this thing for us. We keep calling on government and other people, but the only people that can do it perfectly is we Africans, we entrepreneurs. So today I brought to you value addition in this angle. I'm going to drop another value addition in another product, so we can start looking at not just production but value addition, because this is where the money is. Believe me, I'm not discouraging primary production, but I'm saying when it comes to some of these crops that we have in abundance, you as a smart entrepreneur be looking at value addition so you can make your money, help those other people to produce more for you. So do well to get the feasibility study, link attached in the comment and also the video description. Subscribe to this channel. Thank you and stay connected. I remain Denison, your billionaire farmer.